The Providence College Baccalaureate ceremony began with a welcome from Dr. Sean Reid, PC's provost and senior vice president for academic affairs. Dr. Reid, who joined the PC community in 2020, served as commencement MC for the first time.
I feel blessed to open these ceremonies with my most heartfelt congratulations to PC's class of 2021. Today you turn a page in your life stories, and by doing so, you begin an exciting new chapter. This momentous event celebrates a legacy of academic excellence at an institution built upon certain enduring values, among them faith and fidelity, love and loyalty, and respect and responsibility. We pursue what is true, we appreciate what is beautiful, and we praise God for his abundant blessings, as have those who have preceded these graduates during these past 100+ years. This is a glorious day, not just for the graduates, but for the many family members who are here and watching these ceremonies online. So much of what these graduates have accomplished is the result of the prayers, love, and support you have provided over the years. And for that, the PC faculty, staff, administration, and community offer our most sincere gratitude. This is my first opportunity to participate in a Providence College commencement. I came to PC less than a year ago, thrilled with the opportunity to be here and humbled to be joining an ascendant institution that its leaders have guided to new heights in recent years. Because of that progress, the stature of Providence College education and degree has never been greater, and it has all been accomplished while staying true to the college's mission: academic excellence in the pursuit of truths of faith and reason, growth achieved in virtue, and of course, service to God and neighbor. We should all feel immense gratitude to the college's leaders, the faculty and staff, the corporation and trustees. Their collective efforts and collaboration have made it possible for PC students, including today's graduates, to experience the totality of Providence College in ways that might not have been possible even 15 or 20 years ago. But make no mistake, they may have created the conditions for success, but you, the members of the class of 2021, you're the ones that earned and achieved that success. And that's what we're here to celebrate with you, our graduates. Yours was the first class to enroll in the college's second century. You've completed your PC education well prepared to lead, well positioned to serve, and intellectually ready for the next steps in your lives. You carry with you our college's proud legacy and our fondest hopes for the future. All of us, our faculty and staff, our alumni, our Dominican fathers, brothers, and sisters, all associated with Providence College, are proud of you. Savor this moment for yourselves and for those who helped you get here. Please know that you have our admiration and deep affection always.
Father Kenneth Sicard, PC's 13th president, provided his greetings to the class of 2021 shortly before conferring their degrees. This is also the first commencement as president for Father Sicard, who served the college as executive vice president for 15 years until succeeding Father Brian Shanley last summer.
Members of the clergy, members of the Providence College Corporation, the Board of Trustees and the President's Councils, members of the faculty and staff, alumni of Providence College, honorees, parents, families, and guests, and graduates of the class of 2021. By the power vested in me as president, I hereby absolve all other speakers from having to recite that long list of recognitions. Good morning and welcome to our 103rd commencement exercises. On behalf of Providence College, I congratulate all of our graduates on their achievements And I congratulate the 5 remarkable individuals we will recognize today with honorary degrees. As we take this moment to celebrate the class of 2021, we should also thank those who have made today possible. Learning is a collaborative activity, not a solo endeavor. I ask all of today's graduates to stand and recognize the critical role that your families, your friends, and your professors played in helping you achieve the goals you realize today. I would like to direct my remarks to you, though much of what I'll share will be relevant to all our guests today. What a year. Graduates, I cannot begin to count the number of ways you've been challenged during the last 14 months. The faculty, staff, and administration know and regret how difficult it was to focus on academics while preoccupied with your health and safety, along with the well-being of your families, friends, and acquaintances. No matter how hard you tried, pandemic life was impossible to escape. We all became too familiar with terms like self-quarantine, isolation, test site, virtual or hybrid, 6-foot distancing, I'm going to the Marriott, mask up. Worse, much worse, we were confronted daily with disturbing news of climbing numbers. And as we all know, those concerns were compounded by national and worldly events, mostly unrelated to COVID, but often complicated by it. The past year has tested us, but it's also featured plenty of reasons to be hopeful. The vaccines, of course, and the extraordinary achievement of science to make them viable and accessible. The comfort of knowing that we can safely hug loved ones again, and the steadily increasing return of a sense of normalcy in our daily lives. Locally, our hopes have been buoyed by the determined efforts of students, faculty, and staff to help keep one another safe and succeed in the face of adversity. Each of us has witnessed or benefited from the support and empathy of others. As our Executive Vice President Ann Manchester Moloch told the crowd last week, and I quote, "Someday we will be able to look back at this year and realize that the goodness of ordinary people doing extraordinary things was all around us," unquote. When the narrative of the class of 2021 is written, it should not be a chronicle of struggle, but a story of perseverance and achievement. Today, in particular, we define and appreciate your PC experience as something far, far greater than just your senior year. It's been a 4-year journey, one through which you form lasting friendships and indelible memories, discovered intellectual enlightenment and personal growth, and we sincerely hope developed a deepened faith in the awesome power and love of God. You are forgiven if this past year has at times made you question your faith. If you've learned just one thing about Providence College and Dominican education, it's those feelings of doubt are an invitation from God, calling you to seek understanding through the truths of the faith and reason, to contemplate, study, and preach, and to seek and serve him with one mind and heart. I'm reminded of a song by a group called the Hillbilly Thomists. They are a bluegrass band of Dominican friars, including members of our own community. And the band's name was taken from a quote by the well-known 20th century writer Flannery O'Connor, whose stories and essays were deeply grounded in her Southern roots and her Catholic faith. She described herself as a hillbilly Thomist, her way of explaining her literary style and her spiritual connection to St. Thomas Aquinas. The performers known as the hillbilly Thomists borrowed the phrase as their musical moniker. Just as St. Dominic loved to sing as well as to preach, they formed the band to do both. And I offer you guidance from one of their songs. It speaks to how, in good times and bad, the answers can be found by fully and faithfully engaging our spirituality. It goes, I spend as much time alone with angels as with common folk. It's a life of sweet confection, a spiritual connection, and as far as I can tell, it's headed in the right direction. My closing advice to you is this. As you commence life after PC, fill it with sweet confection. Draw strength from the Lord. Spend time alone with angels. Do that, and you will head in the right direction. Congratulations, and God bless you.
Following Father Sicard was Kate Kennedy, class of 1992, the president of the Providence College National Alumni Association. Ms. Kennedy welcomed the class of 2021 to the alumni population.
Let me first start by saying, what a setting. This is absolutely gorgeous. As president of the Providence College National Alumni Association and a proud graduate of the class of 1992, I am honored to officially welcome the class of 2021 to the ranks of Providence College alumni. Our 57,000 graduates have passed this way before you, and today their collective talents contribute greatly to every career field and community imaginable in every state across the nation and worldwide. We are confident that very soon the class of 2021 will follow in this tradition of excellence and achievement and will make its own significant contributions to society. You've already made your mark here on campus and through the uniqueness of your college experience through the pandemic. I applaud your tenacity and resilience in reaching this milestone. Today is a day for celebration, a day when your ties to Providence College do not end, but instead become stronger. It is also a day that the phrase Providence College family takes on special significance. My PC journey started with the early memories I have as a toddler walking along the purple stripes on the library carpet. My father, Dr. John Hennedy, taught English here at the college for over 50 years, retiring in 2017. My mother, Dr. Marie Hennedy, earned her PhD the same year that I graduated and taught here for 20 years. My brother Patrick and my sister Jane are both alumni. I met my husband Jeff, a fellow graduate of the class of 1992, in our early days in the pep band, when at a party following one of the basketball games, the seniors in the group wanted to see the Hennedy dance with the Kennedy. We've been married for 27 years. Thank you. To further illustrate this Providence College family, I would like all of the graduates who have a member of their immediate family already among our alumnae and alumni ranks to stand and be recognized. Any of you who have immediate family members among the alumni? It's a beautiful sight. You may be seated. It is with a great sense of pride that I convey to every one of our new alumni and your families the sincere congratulations of your brother and sister alumni. I send every best wish for your happiness and your success, as with the day you first set foot as a student at Providence College, you are forever a friar. God bless you and your families, and go Friars.
Next was Dr. Deborah Levine, an associate professor of health policy and management. An expert in the history of medicine and related subjects, Dr. Levine is the recipient of the 2019-2020 Joseph R. Accinno Faculty Teaching Award. She greeted the class of 2021 on behalf of the college's faculty.
It is my honor and my pleasure to formally greet you, class of 2021, and welcome you as a faculty member to this, your commencement. Together, we gather to celebrate the members of the senior class and the 4 years of hard work and deep engagement with the key questions posed by a liberal arts education. We are proud of all of our graduates always, but we are especially proud of you, class of 2021. For 3 semesters now, we have had a crash course thrown in the deep end of public health and policy conundrums in our everyday life. And though I know that many of you, like me, may not have enjoyed every moment, every one of you has remained committed to continuing your formal education, protecting your health and that of your community, while we all make our way through the worst pandemic in 100 years. Nothing is ever accomplished alone, and so it is that your achievement today is shared by others in our community. So many people, in fact, have worked so very hard to bring us to this point. They all deserve recognition and our deepest gratitude. A lot of press coverage of this, the first commencement to be held on campus in decades, has focused on how strange and unprecedented this moment might seem. But I want to use my time with you this morning to call your attention to the powerful moments of continuity that our gathering here represents as well. This campus has been a part of the health and the care of both students and the wider community since its founding, and it is no stranger to epidemic disease. The college itself was founded during another pandemic, the infamous flu epidemic of 1918. In the 1930s, when Rhode Island was struck by the worst polio epidemic it had ever faced, Lower Campus, then known as Providence City Hospital, was home to open wards of ailing Rhode Islanders. And in the building where my office is, now known as Howley Hall, doctors and researchers ran one of the first trials of a remarkable new invention, the Emerson iron lung, a forerunner of modern-day ventilators, and a device that, just over there, during that very first trial, saved the life of a priest with severe polio, becoming the standard of care for polio patients until the development of effective vaccines. Later, during the deadly tuberculosis outbreaks of the 1950s, mobile X-ray centers were placed around the PC campus, in front of Harkins, in front of Aquinas, to regularly screen the lungs of students and staff, as well as those of people in the surrounding community. And open-air classrooms that had been pioneered nearby in the Providence public schools were used, all to track and prevent the spread of the contagious, potentially deadly lung disease throughout campus and our Smith Hill community. And so, for as strange of a year as this might seem to have been, the truth is that for a century now, the Providence College campus has played a central role in protecting and preserving the health of the community, while at the same time playing a key part in advancing science and medicine, training future professionals, building scholarly communities, and fostering deep engagement with the key questions of philosophy, literature, history, theology, and so many other disciplines. Doing all of these things at once is not an aberration. Instead, it is symbolic of the example set by our college at its best. And indeed, it is the challenge for all of us in this moment to care for the health of ourselves and our communities, while at the same time pushing ourselves to learn and do and contribute, using whatever talents and expertise we have to, in the words of our mission, promote the common good, the human flourishing of each member of the campus community, and surface of neighbors near and far. It will be tempting in the coming weeks and months and years to put the difficulties of the last 3 semesters out of your mind and focus only on all the good things that have happened. And I beg you, class of 2021, not to do this. Celebrate your achievements and those of your classmates like we all do. But it is also now your duty to hold all of these fantastic good things alongside the bad, remembering just how fragile our systems can seem, how much work needs to be done in every corner of society, here in the U.S. and around the world. As you make your way forth from Providence College, my deepest wish is for each of you to find a way to contribute, to make your community and your world a bit better than it was when you found it, and to use your talents and your education to make that difference. After the year we have experienced, in many ways, it might feel like the world has never been in more peril. The work we need to do has never been bigger. But after 4 years of working with you, I truly believe, and I know I speak for many of my colleagues on the faculty, when I say that you absolutely can be contributing to that difference. So, congratulations on your tremendous accomplishments. And on behalf of your faculty, I wish you the very happiest graduation celebration.
Following Dr. Levine was Senior Class President Malik Washington, a history and political science double major who will soon begin his professional career working in a position at the United States Senate.
Hello, members of the class of 2021. First off, I'd like to thank you for the chance to stand before you all today for our commencement. When I came to PC 4 years ago as a first-generation college student from my community in Washington, D.C., I never imagined that I'd be speaking to you at graduation. But just like every other PC alum, I'm grateful to have experienced Providence College and its traditions. Most notably, there was Civ to remind us that we will never be on the level of Socrates. Then there was our beloved Aquinas Hall that developed our personality and grit. Shout out AQ one time. Shout out AQ. And may I not forget to remind you all of the brutal smell behind Reid that gave us our daily dose of inspiration. But our class has experienced things that go beyond these staples on our campus. Frankly, we all know that this year was hard. The pressure that comes with senior year on top of a pandemic, sheesh. But all these challenges have bound us tightly together as a class, and no other PC class, before or after us, will ever be able to say that they had a senior year like ours. In spite of these challenges, we made it. Here we stand today, preparing to embark on our journeys in life with a newfound sense of gratitude and hope for the future. As we reflect on our futures, I want to remind you all of the old saying that it is not where you go, but what you do when you get there. It is something my mother, who was my biggest inspiration, is with me today in the audience, and the force that has molded me into the man that I am today, has instilled in me over the course of my life. So to the class of 2021, no matter where you each go after today, cling onto your imagination to guide you and fuel your vision for where you wish to be in life. Never become complacent with your current reality. And as we encounter the inevitable struggles that come with life, understand that adversity is only temporary, but with hard work, your blessings will last forever. 2021, thank you again. My name is Malik Washington, everyone. God bless. Go Friars.
The commencement speaker at the baccalaureate ceremony was Dr. Laurie Santos, a psychology professor at Yale University, who is also the host of the Happiness Lab podcast. An esteemed scholar in the field of psychology, Dr. Santos also teaches a popular Yale course, Psychology and the Good Life, where she challenges students to understand the connections between the choices they make and the fulfillment they may experience in life.
Hello and good morning, Friar family. Father Sicard, members of the faculty and staff, honored guests, family and friends, and last, but definitely not least, class of 2021. Thank you so much for having me here today. I know you're still awake. Come on. I'm glad for the applause because I can't tell you what an honor it is to be able to speak here at Providence College. As you heard, I'm a girl from New Bedford in the house, Fall River in the house. I know my homies are here, right? And I can't tell you what it means for a teenager from New Bedford who spent 9 years in Catholic school to come to Providence College and speak to you today. Back when I was growing up in New Bedford in the 90s, Providence College was like the coolest, most cosmopolitan hall of knowledge I could possibly imagine. Back then in New Bedford, I would look out at the signs for 195 and I would just be like, Providence. They have basketball there and a mall. This is what 15-year-old me would be dying to tell you right now, and I'm just like so excited to be able to talk to you today. You're making my preteen fantasies come true right now, and I might try to go to the Providence Place Mall after this, but we're not going to say. But beyond just being a surreal experience for teenage me, it's an honor to speak to you all in particular. Your class has distinguished itself in so many ways, it's completely humbling. I'm looking out at amazing D1 athletes, fantastic writers, selfless public servants, fantastic artists, talented musicians, creative engineers, hardworking laboratory scientists, and some killer intramural spike ball players. Some of you have even gotten that coveted white blazer from the Friars Club. I'm seeing you all. Very impressed here. Just like, wow. But I wanted to take you all the time to kind of congratulate you on all these accomplishments, big and small, that you've had in the last 4 years in general. But it's particularly impressive that you've managed to achieve these accomplishments during one of the most challenging times our country and our world has ever seen. And, you know, we've talked about this year, and Father Sicard came up and was like, what a year it's been. But I think it's worth acknowledging that you all did not sign up for this, right? Like when you logged into the admission status portal and you found out that you got into Providence College, I bet they didn't add in fine print somewhere, oh, by the way, don't bother grabbing those March Madness tickets your junior year because this is a horrible global pandemic. So probably don't make any plans. You know, they probably didn't say, hey, you need to clear your social calendar for, most of the second half of 2020 because there's not going to be any dances at Peterson's. There's not going to be any bingo at McPhail's. Not much of a senior ring week. No late night madness in October. All that stuff gone. Nobody told you that. There was also probably no mention of N95 masks or stay-at-home orders or COVID-19 protocols. If I traveled back to the day that you first stepped foot on campus and I quizzed you and I said, what is Zoom? You might say that it was something that you did with your camera or in a super fast car or something, right? None of you knew what you were going to be facing in the last 15 months. We just absolutely couldn't have possibly imagined. But in spite of all of that, you are still sitting here proudly, graduates now, the first post-pandemic class of Providence College to physically gather here for their commencement address. You're ready to head off into this new post-pandemic world that we've all found ourselves in. And that is an absolutely incredible accomplishment. You all rock, and you should be all proud of yourselves. One more round of applause. But full disclosure, the current time that we find ourselves in is also a tricky time to be giving a commencement address. Because members of the class of 2021, the usual role of the commencement speaker is to give you some long-winded, deep and wise advice that imparts some important things that I want to tell you in a very sure of yourself way about your future. But we're celebrating all of your achievements at a time when the future seems more uncertain than ever. Even for the old folks like me, we usually act like we know what's going on. But even though I'm a scientist and a happiness expert, this is still my first global pandemic rodeo. I, like you, like most of the people on the planet, have no idea what the next few months or even next few years hold. And so when I began thinking about what tips I can share with you to get through what is more than ever an uncertain future, I decided to fall back on some advice that I knew I could be sure of. I know that this is a strategy that works because it's been one that's been scientifically proven to make you physically healthier and happier. It's got the stamp of science. So what's that strategy? It's one that we're going to try out right now. It is that I want you to take a moment to experience a little bit of gratitude. the simple act of noticing what you're thankful for. Now, gratitude sounds really cheesy. I saw some of you make the face when I was like, what's the strategy? And you're like, gratitude? Pfft. Like, gratitude feels pretty old school. It feels really countercultural. In 2021, we feel like we're kind of doing the thing where we like complain a lot and kvetch a lot and share that with our friends on all social media platforms, right? Like, that is a fun thing. These days, we're more likely to count our hassles than our blessings. These days, if you look at the ratio of like wholesome memes to like super mean and kind of like annoying memes, like the ratio isn't right there. Like, these days, we're more likely to cancel than to appreciate. And in a lot of ways, I'm going to be honest, that urge to complain makes sense because things have been lousy. Like, legitimately, there is a lot to kvetch about these days. I mean, it is fantastic that we have this wonderful weather and you all can kind of gather here together. This is amazing. But it's been a really rough year that's worth acknowledging. You know, this is the kind of thing where you're all here together thinking that you're going to head off into a relatively scary, uncertain world, right? And that can be particularly tough. And don't even get me started on all the bigger non-pandemic stuff. Anti-Black violence, structural racism, political polarization, climate change. Like, these are legitimately awful, scary things, and they're all happening right now. But the scientific research shows that if your generation is going to have the bandwidth to improve all this annoying stuff, because it is falling to you, if you're going to have that emotional bandwidth, then you're going to need some scientific backup. And gratitude, the research shows, can give you that. Science shows that grateful people aren't just happier, but they're healthier. They sleep better, and they have stronger immune function. Gratitude can reduce depression and anxiety, but gratitude also makes you more productive. It turns out grateful people are more likely to save for retirement. There's evidence that they eat in a more healthy way. They're less likely to procrastinate, and they're more likely to do stuff that's hard in the moment that they know will benefit themselves in the future. Running on gratitude is kind of like running on Dunkin', but you don't have to beg your friends to get it for you from the Slavin Center. And so let us try it. We're going to try it out, scientific experiment, right here in Providence College graduation. I'm going to have you experience some gratitude. So humor me, graduates. I want you to all close your eyes. Close your eyes right now. And I want you to take a moment to remember the day you found out you got in. Like what your parents said, what your friends said, how excited you were. If I was close enough to the parents in the back, I'd probably see some of them smiling because they probably remember that day too. Now I want you to take a moment to remember the first time you stepped on this campus for real. Not if you came for some visit day, but the first day of your freshman year, the day you were finally a college student. Take a moment to remember how that felt. And now I want you to take a moment to experience gratitude for the long path you've had since that day. It was just 4 years, but I bet it feels like a lifetime. Take a moment to experience some gratitude for how different you are, for how far you've come since that day. Okay, now I want you to open your eyes and do a little bit more gratitude. Now I want you to take a moment to experience gratitude for something else, not just for the long path you've been on, but for all the people who've helped you along the way. Because none of you have made this journey on your own, and that means this accomplishment is something you share with a huge village. Soon you're going to go home, and in the mail you're going to get your diploma, and you're going to open it up really excitedly, and you're going to see your name, or like right near Providence College, your name big in bold. And it will just be your name. But what I want you to understand today is that there's lots of other names on there too. My colleague at Yale, Steve Pitty, another head of college like me, once told me an analogy that has stayed with me for many, many years, which is the idea that on every college diploma, there are lots and lots of other names. They're just there in invisible ink. And so I want you to have some gratitude for the other names that are on there in invisible ink, because on your diploma in invisible ink are going to be the names of your mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, aunties and uncles and cousins, family friends, grandparents, step-parents. On your diplomas in invisible ink will be the names of many, many generations of people who worked incredibly hard so you could get here. So that some of you could be the first members of your family to get here. Shout out to all my first-gen students out there. On that diploma in invisible ink are your high school teachers, your high school mentors and coaches. On that diploma in invisible ink are all the people here at Providence College, your priests and professors, the Providence College athletic staff. On that diploma in invisible ink are all the staff who helped you, the dining hall workers at Ray. And I'm told that Dot, Her name is going to be there in big ink, big invisible ink right there. Providence College seniors, there are so many unthanked people who have been on this journey with you. And whether it's obvious or not, their names are going to be on that paper right beside yours in invisible ink. But the beauty of gratitude is that we can make what's invisible visible. And so I want you to do that now. I want you to stand up and let all of those invisible names on that diploma know that you are grateful. They're all back there and around, so stand up and give them some love. Now, as you keep standing, we're going to do one final bit of gratitude before we end. Your last act is to feel grateful for the thing that you're going to miss the most when you leave here. Not the basketball games, not even the Dunkin'. The thing that you're going to miss most is each other. So while you're standing up, I want you to take a moment to look around. Look around at the fellow students who are sitting in your row or behind you, or that friend who's in a totally different spot. Take a moment to feel the gratitude for the people who've really made up your Friar family, your teammates and suitemates, your lifelong best friends, who you'll be stepping away from today. Take a moment to experience just how grateful you are for the huge role that they have played in your life. And if you want to give them a shout out and some clap and some love, I bet they would appreciate it too. All right, now you can sit back down again. But as you do, I want you to take a quick moment to notice how you feel. Warmth in your chest, maybe. I saw some happy tears there, especially when I was going through those invisible names. Some of you might have a genuine sense like you are connected to something bigger. The fact that there are a bunch of people in this world who have your back, and that feels amazing. That feeling that you have is gratitude. As you've heard, it's a performance-enhancing drug, and it also feels really amazing. But no matter where you go in life, this feeling is available to you. That good, happy, warm feeling you can get in your toughest times, in your darkest moments. It can always be there when you need it. You just need to take time to turn it on and appreciate. Class of 2021, I hope you will take this scientific tip to heart. We need you to have as much emotional bandwidth as you can to fix all the annoying stuff. But today, I want to speak for everyone else when I say that so many of your teachers and family members and friends are feeling that same warm emotion because they have so much gratitude for all of you and all that you've accomplished. Congratulations again on this achievement. Here's to deeply and intentionally appreciating all that life brings you from here on out. Congratulations and go Friar.
Providence College's graduate programs and School of Continuing Education commencement ceremony featured a commencement address by Adam Benjamin, an innovator and entrepreneur in the tech industry who graduated from PC in 1991.
Good evening, Providence College. Thank you, Father Sicard, for that very nice introduction, and congratulations again on your new appointments here at the school. I know we're all looking forward to the coming years to see your leadership shine. And to you, the graduates, I'd like to offer my sincere congratulations and gratitude for having me here. I have an entire speech here, but I'm going to pause for a second and say sitting up here was extremely humbling. Watching you all walk across, there were tears, there were smiles. For those in the back, every single person had a smile on their face. And that's fantastic. That's what today's about. Be very proud of what you've accomplished. So I know I'm speaking to a group of graduates that run the gamut of life experiences. Some of you are just a year or two removed from a traditional undergraduate experience, while others have been working, contributing to communities, raising families, building businesses, and perhaps a few of you, you can't see it, have the same color hair that I have, which is slightly white these days. You recognize that key to your life is education, and that's why you're here today. You've made the sacrifices necessary, especially this year. I appreciate and respect each and every one of you, and again, sitting up here and watching your faces is extremely humbling. So candidly, through my professional life, I've been more of a presenter and not a speech giver, and although they're both rooted in public speaking, they're actually quite different. If I had a choice right now, I wouldn't be wearing this. I'd be running back and forth along this stage. I'd be giving product demos. I'd make it more interactive. I'd ask a lot of questions. With giving a speech, there has to be a theme. It's fairly scripted, and you need to have a killer opening. So I asked my son, who happens to be a sophomore, rising junior here at Providence, how he would start this speech if he was me. And without hesitation, he said, "Hi, my name is Adam Benjamin, and I graduated Providence College in 1842. So I'm glad to see that Providence continues its long tradition of producing characters. So my wife and I and our incredible friends graduated actually in 1991, so 30 years ago. So we had an amazing time here. The memories are extremely strong, hanging out in Guzman, eating at Ray, going to games. You know, this used to be a baseball field, believe it or not, and I hear you can't even stand on this grass right now, so it's pretty amazing that you're all sitting on it today. You know, the institution has provided for me personally deep knowledge and work ethic, the strongest of memories, the most genuine of friendships, which, by the way, congratulations to some of my friends who happen to be sitting in the stands today watching their children walk across the stage. And again, Providence also introduced me to my wife, who is without question the smarter, kinder, and better looking of the two of us. So with that said, and with your degrees in hand, again, 1991 is how many years? 30 years. 30 years, 3 decades. When I started putting together this speech, my heart started to beat. I'm like, I cannot believe we've been out of school for 30 years. So there's a movie that came out in 1986, and I hope most of you have seen it. It's called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it this summer. Promise everybody, just do your homework, watch this movie. There's great meaning. It's fun. It holds up today's standards. And, you know, there's this one point, and you all probably that have seen it know what I'm going to say, where Ferris is staring at the camera, and he just scammed his parents to stay home for the day. And he has this one line that provides the theme for the movie itself. And that's, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. So I'm going to do 2 things here. First off, when my wife and I got married, we had a friend who said, I'm going to give you one piece of advice. At your wedding, grab each other's hands, go and stand at the back of the reception hall, and just watch what everybody else is doing. Observe and take in that joy and that happiness that's happening just for those split seconds where you're alone together. And we did that, and we still to this day recall those few seconds. So I'm going to ask each of you to just look around for a minute. Focus in on one thing. Not me, please. Each other, a friend, a family member in the back, faculty, this beautiful sky, the moon above. Take it in. Use that as the memory of today and recall your accomplishments that you've achieved. Now I'm going to do a second thing, and I'm going to stop, and I'm going to look around. I'm going to talk about what has happened in the last 30 years since I've left Providence, because 30 years might sound like a long time, but in fact it's not. Life does actually move fast. So to make this a little bit more relevant, I'm going to give you my how it started and how it's going meme and the breakdown of the 30 years. So the internet, let's start there. It's not that we had bad internet connectivity in Guzman. We had no internet. We had no World Wide Web. In fact, I think I might have been one of the only kids on campus that had a computer and what was called a dot matrix printer, which is a printer basically the size of a Tesla. Okay? When you look around now, I mean, our life is run by the internet. So imagine having, days without it. On the media side, specifically with music, it all started with audio cassettes. We spent literally hundreds of dollars buying music, spending hours, hand curating these incredible playlists and party lists. Now that moved obviously to CDs, it moved to portable players, it moved to downloads, and if you look at where we are today, we have Spotify, we have Pandora, we have tons of different streaming services, all at the click of a button and for a fraction of the cost. On the video side and the entertainment side, if you wanted to see a new release, you would go to the movies to see it. Or you would go to a Blockbuster Video or a rental facility, and you would rent a tape about this big to plug into a machine to watch it. And obviously now we have YouTube, we've got Netflix, we have Amazon, all at the click of a button. And we can watch it anytime, anywhere. Transportation. This is probably one of the scariest ones. Maps. We used to drive around with physical maps on our laps, okay? And you could barely see over the map. So you might have been navigating the back roads of Cape Cod in the pitch black or wherever you were venturing to. Thankfully, that moved to GPS. And now today we have Waze and Google Maps on our phones, on every device or built into our car. And also, if we need to get around town, if mom and dad couldn't drive us or we couldn't drive ourselves, we were taking a taxi or we were walking. Now you've got Uber and Lyft, again, at the click of a button. From a communication standpoint, how it started for us was actually using a telephone, actually making a phone call that was wired into a wall, or writing a letter and sending it in the mail. Today we send out thumbs, the big thumbs up, or we'll do the one heart emoji to tell somebody that we care about them, that we love them, and we're thinking about them, or we send them a quick email. Instantaneous and extremely still meaningful interactions. Banking in 1991 required you to physically walk into a bank, into a physical location, fill out a piece of paper just to get $20. I tell my friends now that have kids going to school, just put Venmo on their phone. That's all that they need. In 1991, also the space program. Think about it, just thinking about the moon here shining over us. We had the space shuttle launches, and we were dreaming about doing more up there. In just 3 short decades, again, just 30 years, we have the International Space Station. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of satellites providing infrastructure to us to support our daily lives. And of course, today, we have a drone flying on Mars. Who would have thought? Talk about a moonshot. So I'll probably say the most notable advancement for me personally was back in 1991. The cheese on pizza was on top, and now it's in the crust. So in all seriousness, I can go on for hours talking about advancements of smart appliances in your home, autonomous driving cars, robots following you around in the supermarket, VR goggles, and the incredible innovations that have happened and continue to happen. Probably the most notable this year, obviously, a vaccine that was created and distributed at scale globally. Unbelievable. True miracle. So it's pretty wild when we stop and look around once in a while and appreciate all of these innovations and accomplishments, where we were, where we are, because again, 30 years, it really is not that long. But now we need to focus on where we're going. And each of us, yes, I consider myself part of this group, and everybody here should, we will carry this torch. What I just went through, of course, are industry-changing ideas, and in some cases, life-changing ideas. Products and services, fundamental ideas that I believe are rooted in some very basic components. And I'd like to share just a couple that I've picked up through the years, and I hope they resonate with you. First and foremost, curiosity and creativity will always be complacency. Standing still never won any race. Challenging the status quo is actually a good thing. If you don't like something, you don't believe it's right, you see some type of injustice, it's okay to raise your hand or do something about it. When this is all done, I'm going to come up with a solution for this so it stops whipping me in the face. Saying no sometimes is better than saying yes. This is one that I've actually personally had an issue with in my professional life because I always want to make people happy. I always want to do more. But ultimately, if you say yes to everything, you become the bottleneck. You start to focus on the wrong things. People will have more, they will be, better with you. They will have more admiration for you if you say no and focus on the right things. Sorry about that. So winning is great, but sometimes losing is better. And what I mean by that is, if you're learning to ride a bike or you're learning to ski, if you don't fall, you don't learn. And finally, being true to yourself, being compassionate, being humble will reward you on the long run. Think about your values and your personal mission statement and keep that front and center with every professional and personal decision you make. This is what makes each of us simply better people. So when writing this speech, I said I wasn't going to spend any time dwelling on this past year, but I am going to highlight something that I do believe has significant relevance. On January 18th of this year, an email was sent by our own Providence College Dean of Students, Stephen Sears, and I'd like to read one paragraph of it. Thank you again for your resiliency and tenacity. We have the opportunity before us to have a safe and successful spring semester, and I know that you will join me in embracing it. Why? Because we can, we will, we believe, as one, as members of our beloved community, that is Providence College. We are Friars. So sitting at home as a parent of a current student, these emails from Dean Sears brought comfort and hope for a better tomorrow for many of us. We knew the school was watching over our families, so I'd like to take a moment to thank Dean Sears. I'd like to thank our Providence College community and to our PC frontline students, who I know several of you are sitting in the crowd today receiving your degrees, for the care, the kindness, the prayers, the support you provided to our families during this crazy time. But what I took out of that email from Dean Sears was actually much more from me personally. And candidly, I think this is the Friar spirit through and through. It's a message of hope. And here's what I read. We have many opportunities before us, and I know that you will join me in embracing them. Why? Because we can, we will, we believe, as one, as members of our beloved community that is Providence College. We are Friars. I'm not going to be the one to tell you that it's hard out there. We all know that it is. It always has been. But I am going to be the one to tell you that there are tons of opportunities that just need the right people. And if you can't find the right opportunity, then go out and make your own. I'm sure one of you will be standing here where I am today addressing the class of 2051, reflecting on the advancements, accomplishments, and the miracles of the past 30 years. And I know our Friar family will be right in the middle of those incredible changes and innovations. And when you're asked why you're challenging the status quo or doing something big, something meaningful, I hope you all say, because when I was at Providence College, I was told we can. Congratulations again, class of 2021, and go Friars.
A second alum, this one with deep experience in both PC's graduate programs and its School of Continuing Education, also addressed the graduates. Michael Bibeault, in fact, earned an SCE degree and a graduate degree, the latter a Master of Education in 2014. And he has taught in both programs. He is a licensed medical health counselor in practice in Rhode Island.
Thank you, Dr. Reid, for that warm introduction. And thank you to Dean Madeline Metzler and Dr. Brian McCadden for selecting me to address all of you this evening. This is an incredible distinction for me, and I will spend the next hour of my life speaking to you as a result. They said that I could take my time. Father Sicard, members of the faculty and staff, honored guests, class of 2021. 6 words come to mind right now. You made it, you did it. Despite all that humankind has endured over the past 14 months, we finally gather here on this sacred occasion as one Friar family to celebrate your academic achievement. Our lives were acutely altered in early 2020. We were forced to adapt to alternative ways of learning, teaching, communicating, interacting, and surviving. When I was growing up, Zoom was called a nightly television show produced in Boston. And virtual was a word relegated to grade school spelling bees. Now, both terms have become normative. I can relate to many of you and understand what you might be feeling right now. For I once sat where you sit now, waiting in anticipation to walk across this stage and hear my name as a graduate first of the SCE and 2 years later, the School of Professional Studies, hoping that the presenter would pronounce my name correctly. For the SCE graduates, you had to manage work, children, husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, dogs, cats, home, and studies. Not easy, right? Graduate students, you also had to juggle work, family, boyfriends, girlfriends, GA positions, internships, and athletics, along with studies, equally as difficult. For me, and I'm certain for all of you, higher education was not a singular experience, but a collaborative effort. My story was told through character and not through plot. The supporting characters who enriched my experience here at Providence College: Barbara Silliman, Robert Goff, Richie Kless, Maureen McGarry, Joe Gemma, Ralph Dietrich, Chuck Gaffney, John Hogan, and many more. My time here at PC prepared me adequately to create my own professional identity that was exclusively mine, and I hope it has done the same for all of you. I know there are graduate students in this audience tonight receiving degrees that I had in class over the last few years. I say to them, it was an honor and a pleasure to be part of your academic journey. I remain connected with this institution as a faculty member and as a college benefactor because of how meaningful my experience was a number of years ago. And I encourage all of you to maintain an ongoing connection here as well and keep Providence College as a central character in your life's narrative moving forward. Post-secondary education, as we all know, is a voluntary endeavor, and whichever degree is being conferred on you this evening, may you continue life's learning process. Because when you stop learning, you stop living. Maybe it is fitting that you're all seated in the middle of a running track with the finish line just behind you. May this be one of many finish lines you cross during your lifespan. But for now, tonight, this weekend, savor this moment that you have so rightfully earned. Celebrate robustly and responsibly with loved ones. And if you could, keep the class of 2020, last year's graduates, in your thoughts. Hopefully, they may be able to be recognized sometime soon in a similar ceremony. May you all have many more moments to savor, such as this, in abundance. Thank you for the privilege of your time. May God continue to bless all of you, and may He continue to strengthen our Providence College.
Thank you for joining us for the Providence College Podcast. Feedback is always welcome at podcast@providence.edu.